Okay. Now I'm online. Oh, crikey. Oh, I just spent the last half an hour talking into a video, right? Thinking I was making a video, and I came to look at and it wasn't even streaming or online. I'm like, oh no, I've just been talking the last half an hour. Ah, so I'm gonna have to do this all over again. Right? Okay. Well, first of all, apologies for no clothes on the top because I've just literally got out the shower. And what I want to talk about is basically a flight simulator. I was building a flight simulator, right? And I was thinking yesterday actually about building a flight simulator. Now, a couple of the lads, few people have actually made flight simulators, and they're really great. And some of them have actually put the cockpit onto the braces, so the braces can go up and down and move and stuff like that. But what I was thinking, looking at some of this stuff, because some of the cockpits are just static on the floor, right? So when you go in, it looks all great and everything, but it doesn't really move. So you don't. So anyway, so I came up with this, right, yesterday, and as you can see there, let's say you're learning to fly a Cessna, for example. Well, you can go to a scrapyard for a Cessna scrapyard, right, and you can buy a scrapped plane, and you can cut it up. So cut off the tail, cut off the wings there to the struts, cut off the props a little bit. So, or maybe if you cut the props, it might start shaking or something. But do something so that and then see the wheels, right? The wheels can have like rollers. See the rollers, so that you can actually get the sensation of motion and moving. And there's the screen. So the screen will be fixed, okay? And so how you get your motion is by literally the cockpit itself moving relative to the screen, right? Doing this sort of stuff, right? And also, can you see? Because it's got the wheels, you could simulate landing and taking off. And because the roller could have gravel and stuff on the actual rollers, you could literally feel like you're going along the ground, right? So that would be really good. And of course, you can actually get these hydraulic supports, right? So the whole thing can go up and down. So you could actually be simulate taking off, and then you literally flying up into the air, and then from this position, then you can do all this, and then when you're coming down. And then you can touch down with the wheels on the actual rollers, and you can feel like you're literally, simulating real flying, right? It's something I wanted to do for a little while, and I want to learn to fly actually proper, and I think it'd be a really great skill to have. But this is the way I'd want to do it, dude. And like, can you see with like the windows here? Right. Well, they'd be like monitors, VDUs, right? And then what would happen is that as the plane moves down and to the side, then but the visual stays static, right? Of course, depending on the degree of the up or the down or the left or the right would determine whether the screen data visual stays fixed or whether it does move a little bit to compensate, like like extreme, so that would be really, really good. You could do all that with software, and also, of course, you could get the motor, so you get the real live motor sound, right, and the vibrations, right, so you get literally feeling like the real thing, and then in your cockpit. Keep everything the same. Keep all the instruments in place and connect actuators up to the instruments, so you can simulate all that, and all that data goes to the computer. The computer can then send the information to the instruments, so you can get all this information. So you really feel like you're flying. Like a real flying experience. And of course, if you're learning to fly, you could actually rack up some hours on the simulator, so that would help with the flying. So. That's really what I wanted to do. I've wanted to do this for a little while, and I've seen some of the fellas online, on YouTube, and some of them have got the cockpit like that. They've bought an old scrapped aeroplane. They've cut it up, and then they've put it on the supports like that, the hydraulic support, so they can do this and this, right? So I want to do the same sort of thing like that, a similar thing, but cut it up, but make it even more realistic with the wheels, the rollers, and the engine in place and stuff. So you get the the real sound, the real vibrations. Okay, so make it as realistic as possible. That could be a really great project. I'd love to do that, but of course it's going to take some money to be able to do that. Um, so that's something I'm going to do off in the future at some point. All right. But as I say, if you look on YouTube, there's lots of fellas that have actually done, something similar to that. But they've just not gone that far to make it simulate even further. I've gone beyond that. You see. So while the simulations are great, they really look good. Especially if you're looking on YouTube, some of them have really done a really good job. I think there's a little bit more that you can actually do to make it more realistic. Of course, there's always something you can do to make it more realistic, right? So anyway, that's something I'd like to do in the future. Right, well, now I'd like to talk about something. This is just a point to my dad. I'm trying to get in contact with my dad again because I really just need to go to university. And I put it really nicely last time. The last video I did that didn't go. I wasn't streaming. I was realising I didn't stream. But basically, what it is, Dad, I just want to go to university, and I don't have anybody to sign the actual form for me, which just basically vouches for my identity. That's all it is. So if you know anybody who's got a passport, right, and say, oh yeah, I remember Tony, or Ian, because I call myself Ian, right, Ian Anthony. Yeah, I can remember. So just what's it for? Just so we can go to university. Oh, great! We can get the funding in place, the university in place, all the particulars, everything's ready to go. I just need somebody literally to sign the form which enables me to go to university. That's all it is. Just to vouch for my identity, so that they can allow me into the university, and have the funding as well. Because of course you can't go to university as an unemployed person. What I did want to plan to do was to become a courier, so that I'd earn about £110 a day, which is about £700 a week, £600-700 a week, and save up about £1,000 a month for about 40 months. And earn about £40,000 starting capital, and then go from there. Basically, I was thinking about buying some land, getting an RV or a mobile home situation, and place it on the land, and be as independent as possible. And I'll start a whole bunch of businesses and stuff, and become wealthy. I've set myself the task of becoming a millionaire by the time I'm 55. I'm 47 at the moment, so there's enough time for me to do it. I just need this little tiny, this little barrier to be overthrown, so to speak, to enable me to proceed with my life, because it feels like I'm in permanent stuck mode, So yeah, my dad wouldn't need to send, you wouldn't need to buy a stamp or an envelope or anything, Dad. I'll put it all together. I'm gonna be at the pub next Wednesday, okay. So what I'll do is I'll put it through your little post box on the side of your door, your front door, right? I actually put a little envelope through last week. I don't know whether you got it or not, yeah, I was looking really to become a self-employed courier, and I just needed some startup capital, right? And what I was hoping was that possibly either get a loan from yourself, which obviously I don't think I could, or if you could just become a guarantor. The point was, if you went to guarantor, it wouldn't cost you anything. You can do it all online, and if you just go to my Facebook page, I've got a link there. You can just go straight online and just be a guarantor. And because I'd be earning £110 a week, I was thinking maybe that £1,000 that I owe you, Dad, I could literally pay that. I could return that to you, So, but I can't do anything at the moment because I needed the startup capital to become a self-employed courier. But there's quite a few companies that are out there that will actually do that, and I've passed all the entry exam requirements. So it's just a little bit of startup capital needed just to get over the interim period while I get paid. A lot of the companies are like startup for like 5 weeks. You got to work 5 weeks before you can actually get paid, right? Which is a bit much, I know, but so if I can find one particular company that will enable me to do it with a single payment to GSA, I'll try that route. Okay, but I'll have to. So what would be ideal is if I could work between now and September, and get myself, situated that way. That would be absolutely brilliant. What I was thinking of doing is going to university, as I say, in September and studying electronic engineering. And what I was planning on doing as well, Dad, is doing a PhD in physics and science and math, and particularly in something I've called space energy mechanics, which is I'm touting as the successor theory to general relativity and quantum mechanics, and basically call it QM+. And it's really the idea that gravity is explained by the motion of space granules. Space is made of space granules, and it's the motion of space granules that really creates gravity. And that gravity is induced by the necessity of aggregated space granules or matter to renew itself. Okay, and I've put my theories out there, both in America and Great Britain, and the scientists are doing a nut over it, dude, for real. So I'm not bullying you. I'm not lying to you or smudging the edges. I'm telling you the truth, as always. So that's the thing. I also came up with something called neo-Darwinism as well, which is like a successor theory to Darwin's theory. Basically, the idea that everything cooperates, and that submind you of the universe, basically space, energy, matter, have the attribute of mind, and that really that mind is what really makes everything work. And a lot of evolutionists have taken the idea very, very seriously, and it's beginning a field of exploration and thought into how the actual literal universe works. And in addition to that, the idea that we all came from individual strains of bacteria rather than transitional species and crossovers. So I came up with that as well, all basically while I was in America. Right? But I've put up a whole bunch of stuff on Facebook. If you want to if you go to Facebook and just click on Ian, right, and then just scan through all the stuff that isn't politically related or to do with beautiful women, because I want to have a harem as well. And so if you scan through all of that and you come to me sciencey bits, you'll have there's quite a lot of information there actually, but it's only a tip of the iceberg though. You're right. On actually how the universe, or how I see the universe, you see. And I actually figured a lot of stuff out when I was in America, and I realised that the Egyptians, they were very clever people, the Egyptians, and realised that they worshipped the sun as the creator. And I'm thinking to myself, that's got to be absolutely true, because the sun itself is really the creator, right? It made the solar system, and because of submind you of the universe, it will have mind, and it, along with the universe, really created the solar system, made the solar system, and made life on planet Earth, right? So the idea of gods are really gods are man-made things, but they're a sort of product of the universe and part of the submind you aspect of the universe, space, energy, and matter, and really how the universe really converts or space granules into matter. And so all of that is what orchestrates everything and makes the universe actually really work. And as I say, religion is mankind's ancient attempt to harness this naturally occurring phenomenon that basically makes things work, and is part and parcel of the aggregation of space granules and forming matter and stuff. It's really all part of that, you see. So I came to understand and realise all of this, and I put this forward to a lot of people, and scientists and people around the world went completely bonkers and nuts over it, really, for real. And as a result, it's really exciting. I've done a lot of great work on that. So it's like the sun itself. Then I'm touting as a living organism, like the universe. I call it the living universe, right? So it's like the universe is like a living thing, and the sun itself is really a living thing in the sense that it has mind. Okay, not necessarily the mind like we have mind, but similar, because of course our brains are a product of the literal universe. The universe made us. Okay, um, so don't I don't want you to think that it got anything to do with the religious idea or aspects at all. All right, it's I've accepted completely and utterly. I figured it out that the universe itself is the creator. Itself has the mind, and that really, as I say, religion is mankind's ancient attempt to harness this phenomena of nature, which really is what made everything, and has a tendency to aggregate space granules. So for me, the idea of space granular flow with space granular fluid dynamic theory is really what constitutes gravity, and also the binding of atoms as well. So as a consequence of the flow of the space granules binding atoms together, that's really the force that keeps atoms together. Although traditional science would say it's to do with the transport of electrons, I actually think it's to do more with the flow of electrons between atoms. That's what really binds them together. And what gave me the insight into that was looking at your hand, doing a Da Vinci, right? And the sinews and the muscles bind the bones together. So I thought to myself, well, maybe that's what the space granules do. You know, as they flow, maybe they bind these little bundles of space granules or atoms together, right? And so people are very, very excited about this idea, this theory about space granules and space granular flow, right? Because it basically explains everything. It's a theory of everything. And so this is really what I want to do my PhD eventually in, right? But I also want to become a millionaire. I want to have lots of businesses and be very wealthy, and I want to do lots of different amazing new technologies. Okay, there's lots of stuff really I'd need to talk. I'd love to talk to you about, you know, but yeah, one particular project I came up with, apart from something I call reverse aging, I want to develop the technology, the biotechnology, to actually reverse ages so we can keep ourselves young indefinitely. You know, religion was talking about it for a long time, right? So I thought to myself, why don't I just go ahead and solve it? Which is what I did, or at least I'm in the process of doing so. And I think we've come with some really great theories as to how that actually can be done. So, but I can't do it on JSA. I've got to become wealthy. Right? So if I set myself the task of becoming a millionaire by the time I'm 55, I reckon by the time I'm about, let's say, 65, 70 maybe, we'll have developed the technology sufficiently to not only elongate life expectancy, but maybe even to do so indefinitely, so that the entire organism reverts, beg your pardon, to a previous energy config state. Not just an energy config state, but a previous, younger state, right? So, I mean, I talk about, the post-eukaryotic cell era where humanity's figured out how to create new DNA. So it's the post-eukaryotic cell. You know, we got the prokaryotic, the eukaryotic, and I talk about the post-karyotic eukaryotic cell. So that there's new genetic material in there, and it's this. This is kind of straightforward information, dude. It's not. So anyway, so I'm planning to work on some very, very important sciences and technologies, and I've got to get a foot in the door, and I've got to get wealthy. I've got to become part of the system of things, So it's really important that I make progress. All I can say, Dad, is whatever I've done that's offended you. All I can say is I deeply apologise and deeply regret whatever it is that I said or did, because to be honest, I still do not know or understand why it is that you just cut us off like that. All right, it was extremely hurtful, because obviously I'm your son, and I love you very much, Dad, and I just wish that we could maybe get together and maybe we could have a meal, maybe you and Dee and Jim and Pauline and Gaz and Catherine. We could all go and have a meal somewhere at some point and have a family gathering and chat and stuff, which would be really great. But But it's up to you, there. I'm not going to push you, can't force you. You've come to a decision about something that I obviously don't know anything about. So I'm just really bamboozled by your decision, dude. I mean, that's the truth. So I don't understand why. Well, I do understand why. That's to do with something else. But I mean, I don't understand the reason why you just cut us off like this. So if it was to do with grandma, uh, I think the reason why grandma died, Dad, was because of the flipping cat. You remember the cat you got? Remember the cat? Well, the cat, I think, because it used to flipping scrag me. The blooming thing was nuts, right? And I used to go around, I was playing with it on Sundays, right? And the fucking thing was scratching the living daylights out. I mean, it's like, this cat's nuts. And I used to run up the flipping curtains. I'm not joking. And I think Grandma had a little bit of a time trying to flipping control the blooming thing. I mean, it's a lovely gift to give Grandma, but I think it was just a little bit too. It was nuts. It was a crazy freaking cat. And so I think what must have happened, maybe its claws sunk into her skin and it gave her septicemia and created a clot. That's what I'm thinking, and that led to the stroke, and then obviously subsequent demise. I know this is a very difficult thing to talk about, Dad, and I was upset as well, of course, when Grandma died, and but I'm thinking, that's probably what maybe the situation was. I think the flipping cat was what really did it, not necessarily old age, although of course old age, but I think I think that was the problem. Yeah. Can I just clear up something else as well while I'm doing this video, and I do hope you see this. When I was growing up with Nan and Al, as as a young man, right? You're growing up as you do. I I I I I um I I I it's a silly thing as a young man growing up, okay, and I fantasized about Nan, not Grandma, but Nan, okay, and it was a stupid thing, and so but I think the witnesses have took control, took hold of that and ran with it, and 3 and 9 come up with 7, and Jehovah can never be fucking wrong, right? It's a bit like the Holy See. But by the way, did it tell you me and the Pope are sat tight? The ex-Pope, the only one who wanted to step down. Yeah. So anyway, so I think that's really what it was, and the thing is, what was funny, amazing about it is that the computer system is able to detect stuff, and it's highly sensitive as that computer from America, and so I think that's really what's happened. People have put 1 and 1 together and come up with 3 and 7, 64 and favourites and stuff, and completely bloomin' wrong knowledge at all. So whatever it is people have told you, whatever they've thought, I want to tell you, you can get it from the horse's mouth, dude, that that's not what happened, or whatever it is that they've told you, why, which is probably the reason why you went, I think, against me like that, and decided to cut me off, is whoever's been talking to you just told you a pack of lies, Dad, and you fell for it. I was also concerned that maybe you were being terrorised. I was thinking probably something from, when you were in the probation office days, I was wondering whether it was something along those lines. Maybe one of the prisoners, or one of the young people that you were acting as a probation officer for, whether they were terrorising you, you got caught up with the terrorist thing and the anti-terror computer system. By the way, I've helped with that. Okay, so I don't want you to think, oh, Tony's a bad man. We're actually trying to help powers and authorities around the world to because basically the the spiritual realm, if you like, or the virtual realm collapsed, and there was a problem around the world. And I should really be telling you this in private, but I think everybody knows anyway. So and the elite were trying something new with respects to configs around the world. And I think what happened was they decided to make good of a bad thing, and did something completely new. But now I think it's more normal now. I think things return to more normal, and but it's been highly stressful, hasn't it? The last so many years. So there's that's really the truth. But it's great. I mean, I've come to I've been in association with all sorts of phenomena. But I don't get freaked out by it. It's not like oh, it's a spirit, or oh, it's the it's the virtual computer, the military computer. I'm freaking out. There's lots of ordinary people that get fucking freaked out by it. I just get sometimes I get annoyed because, as probably a lot of people do, because the thing just terrorizes and persecutes. But I can understand the reason for that, but there was a problem. The streams were mixed up, and people's timelines and everything got all fucked up, and everything mixed up with other people, and it's been an absolute nightmare. So if you've had thoughts and ideas, or communications, let's say, it's more than likely that the information that you've received has been an error. All right, so maybe that's really what's been holding you back, and you've really basically been believing a lie, and people have profited from that. I don't want to talk any more about it now, but maybe if we meet up and have a pint or something in the pub on Wednesday next week, maybe we can have a private chat about that, because I think it's probably important that we do talk about this thing, this subject, and also about what happened to me in the United States, because I got stuck in America, dude, and I couldn't fucking get out of America. I just couldn't get out of America. Jahan took off. I went over with a certain amount of money, and as a result, it wasn't a lot. It was just a little bit, just to get me going. And I gave Jahan the money, right? Because I thought that's a husbandly thing to do, I'm trying to patch my family up. She walked out on me in Seattle, right? And I thought, right, well, I'll do the husbandly thing. Here you go, darling. Here's some more money. Because I had a good job actually when I was in Seattle. I had a pretty good job. I was earning, what was it? This is like 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago. But I was earning about $1,000 a week or something, as this job. But it sort of collapsed, and the job was starting to collapse. But at the time, I was making good money. Jahan was well happy, I was making money for her and everything, which was right. I tell you, the worst thing that I should have done when I went to America, Dan, I'm kicking myself that I didn't, is get me blooming GED, which is like the equivalent of a high school diploma. And with that, I could have gone into university. I could have got some funding from the government. I could have gone into university. I could have got a degree by now from Washington State University. It's an extremely good university in America, is Washington State University. And I could have studied electronics and biotech and all sorts of stuff, So talk about, crikey, coming this close, and like just failing, and Johanna's, she had a good job. She was working for Amazon. She was working and had a good job, but damn, it just fell apart, and she walked out on me, dude, and that was it. But as I say, I returned to America trying to get my family together. She took off again, and I thought, oh well, this time she's really shot a bolt, dude. It's like, okay, fine, we're done for good. All right. But it took me 7 years from that point, Dad, to get the heck out of America to Britain. 7 years. And as I say, I was homeless the entire time in the United States. So it's been really, really, yeah. It's funny because you see, like, you see America. It's presented. It's got this image, right? America, glitzy. But when you see America at its like ground roots level and everything, and it's a completely different place. But I was surviving on like $3 a day. Going to McDonald's and stuff. But I did sort of meet some people that tried to help, and I was very grateful for their assistance, and which was really lovely. And then later on, I finally met up with some people that really did help, and they got me a flight here, and were able to basically save my life there. Because I'm telling you, dude, if I hadn't got out of America, I think I'd have fucking died. Because there was everything was collapsing. Literally, the United States was just collapsing. It's like as Obama administration, was coming to an end. Like literally, everything was just terrible. So glad that I, in some respects, got out of the United States at that point, because everything was really bad. It was collapsing and stuff. But the sad thing about it was that Obama had made, for example, the green card renewal free. It usually $500, right? But he made it for free. But I couldn't even get that. So it was just the system just screwed up. Everything screwed up. Things collapsed. People being selfish and going off and doing their own fucking thing as opposed to sticking together, and took me 7 years to get out of that. But the amazing thing about it is that I came up with my space engine mechanics, my neo-Darwinism, non-supremism, and lots of other technological ideas and thoughts, which what I want to do is get out of poverty and implement them, you see. Go to university, get a degree, get the necessary qualifications, and become, qualified and get funding, become a millionaire, and So I was hoping maybe at some point to get you that E-Type Jag that you're always after, Dad. I want to get a Lamborghini Countach Quattro Valvoli. Okay. People say it's a quattro valve. It's not a quattro valve. It's a quattro valvoli. Okay, you got to say it properly. So yeah, if you type that into Google, you'll see what I mean. It's the Countach. The Diablo's alright, but I like the Countach myself. The Countach is the car that you would have had on the poster on the wall. The Countach, the Quattro Valvoli. Is the car, yeah, and that's what I want to get at some point in the future, But they're already like 30 odd years old now, so I'd have to probably, if I need parts and everything, it's difficult to get. So what I was thinking of doing as well, also, was getting a machine shop, and as I say, buying some land, making a machine shop so I could machine tool the bits and pieces that I'd need. I also want to get my own plane. I want to get a plane, build a plane. And build a flight simulator and learn to fly a plane, and stuff. There's lots of stuff I want to do, and become independent, and start really living life. It took me all this time to figure life out. I want to enjoy it, And with this idea of reverse aging technology, I want to spearhead. The idea of basically living for eternity, if you like, or life longevity technology. Is a very realistic proposition, and you might sort of poo-poo that, but trust me, on this the technology is very much in vogue and is being hotly pursued by a lot of people, and the idea of lengthening your lifespan is something that a lot of people really want to achieve, and we're really at the stage of actually achieving that. So I want to put myself in a position whereby becoming a millionaire, and I could take advantage of the technology. So the idea that I'm 47 really doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying? So that was always the plan. Yeah, going out for everything, right? I suppose that's why people were sort of coming down on me so heavily, because they know that I'm going to achieve great things, and the people that know what I've been talking about and what I want to achieve, and there are even some major business people that are really interested. So I actually made an energy device that produces an infinite amount of electricity. I designed this thing, and it creates an infinite amount of electricity from silicon, and that's really what I want to do. I'll put it actually on Facebook, some of the designs and stuff. So if you scan through my Facebook page, you'll be able to see it. Just to prove that I actually did work on that, but unfortunately, I met somebody in Lockport, actually in New York, upstate New York. And basically, they did the dirty on me, man. I invented this electronic device that produces infinite amount of electricity, right? And he was connected to Buffalo University, and I've still got his signature. That's his name, yeah. And as a result, he basically did the flit, didn't see us again. But I got him to sign a non-disclosure agreement, right? So with the non-disclosure and everything that's happened over the past 7 years or so, I think I'll be able to put a case forward, and the U.S. military are using it at the moment. So America, but I designed it. Yeah. See, the great thing about it is it produces electricity from the universe. I was working on it way before in Seattle, and again, I filed papers, But you can use it to actually, power silicon chips. You could stack them to produce batteries, So, yeah. You may have received something from the U.S. Patent Office a little while ago. I don't know if you still got the information. It would be really handy if you did. But yeah. So, and that without the background. Bzzz. It works on a principle of see see my microphone like that. Well, imagine one of these really small, right? The subquantum or the quantum fluctuations in space creates motion, random motion, and that random motion you can convert into electricity. That's really how it works. Yeah. So, well, we could talk about that if you wanted to, in the pub. If you've got the papers, keep hold of them for now if you want, because it might actually form a very important piece of evidence. So anyway, hope I've been able to set a few things straight there for you. If we don't meet up Wednesday, fine. What I'll do is I'll post this form in your post box. Okay. That was me last week, by the way, with the coat, the grey coat, that with the hood up. That was me. So I don't know if you spotted me or anything. So anyway, I'll put something through your little letterbox next Wednesday, which would be let's see, first, second, the third of it's the third Wednesday, round about noon time. So yeah. Things are still not quite normal. Yeah. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. So hopefully, if I don't see you, hope this video explains something, gives you a certain amount of peace of mind, and you really won't have to do anything at all. Just as I say, find somebody to find a form to sign, just to vouch for my identity, and just put it in the post and return it to me, and I can send that to the relevant authority, just to vouch for me so I can get into university. Yeah, that's really all. So, okay, Dad. Cheers now. Ta-ra. Bye.